Well, here it is. And I'm sure by you clicking on this, you're probably wondering, hey, what did I get myself into? This is Life's Corner podcast. I'm just a regular, average, everyday human being like yourself. I'm not a celebrity. I mean, I do have a YouTube channel. I do stream on Twitch occasionally. But the point is I've went through a lot of stuff in my life. I'm 41 years old, and I figured what is the best way to talk to people than to on here podcasting, because maybe just maybe I can reach one person who's going through something similar and is looking for at least someone, not just someone who cares, but somebody who's been through that scenario, and maybe they have the, I wouldn't say Konami cheat code, because I'm an old school retro gamer, I had to say it. Somebody who can kind of creep the door open a little bit. And that's what we're going to dive into today's episode. And I'm hoping not to make it too long. I'd like to keep these at least around 10, 20 minutes. But today's episode, episode 1, the debut episode of Life's Corner podcast, is about addiction struggles. And I'm not the world's expert on this kind of stuff. I'd like to say I am my own life's expert. I have lived my life for almost 42 years, and that's something you should think about yourself when you're dealing with these kind of things, that you are your own expert. You know your life better than anyone else because you lived it. And when I mean addiction struggles, my addiction was alcohol. And when I mean, like, I was a rank alcoholic. It got to a point where I was drinking literally every day. And it was worse because of COVID. Because COVID, like, I live in Canada, so we were getting $2,000 a month from the government to live off of if you couldn't work because, your work had to shut down because of COVID or whatnot. So I was basically paying the little bit of rent I had to pay and spending the rest of that as drinking money. But we're going to rewind it a little bit more because my drinking didn't start as an addiction. From a small town in Saskatchewan. So my drinking it started the same way a lot of us in that small town started, where it was just Friday nights after school. Hang out with your friends, go to a party, or you all go to someone's basement, blast some music and drink a few beers until, you're either passed out in their basement or you're walking home. And for me, over time, it was, one thing led to another. I think it got worse for me growing up when after my mother passed away in 2011. When she started getting sick, actually, is when it got worse. In 2010, because of lung cancer. And she, watching her, I basically ended my jobs. I had to push my social life out of the window. And I stayed living at my parents' house, taking care of her 24 hours a day as much as I could. Even stayed up all night some nights because I knew she would get up and walk around. But anyway, sorry, I'm not just saying my life stories about addiction struggle. So I went through all that stuff. So it's every person I've ever known in my life that had an addiction always started with something that triggered it, some kind of life trauma and whatnot. And like I said before, I'm not an expert on addictions. I'm not a licensed psychiatrist. I'm not any of that stuff. I'm just another human being talking to you. Think of it as just like, we're just sitting there at the table next to each other, and I'm just talking, and I'm unfortunately I can't listen to you. I mean, if you sent me an email, I'll gladly read your story, and heck, I might even put on a future episode. You never know, but I'm just talking to you about maybe I have an idea as to how you can get over this struggle. Because what did it for me was I had enough. I was drinking a lot to the point where I was just getting sick and tired of being drunk. I was getting sick and tired of waking up with hangovers. I was getting sick and tired of losing time, losing days. I tried blaming it on everybody else but myself. I didn't take accountability. And then one day I sat down at the table, I called up my sister and I said, I need your help because I need help. And that's literally the first step, is saying, I need help. Now, keep in this mind, as of this recording, it is February 9th, 2023, and I have been, as of today, 725 days sober. And it wasn't easy. But anyway, how it started was I said I needed help. It doesn't matter who you admit it to, as long as it's in your support group or people you know care about you, friends, family, just go up to them and say, I need help. Now, they can't give you all of the advice. They can't just rip the addiction out of your soul and get rid of it. But they can say, okay, let's sit down and say how we're going to begin this process of help. And what we did was, first, we moved me out of the house I was living in. She removed me from the environment that was making it toxic for me, that was enabling me to continue going. And she put me in a controlled environment. I like to call it sister detox, moved me into her place and put me into a controlled environment where I was forced to basically not think about drinking. I was still kind of a smoker at the time, but then I got rid of that too. But we sat down, we looked over counselors, we found an addiction counselor. I went to talk to her and I signed up for Alcoholics Anonymous as fast as I could. Started going to a first meeting not even a couple weeks after I moved in. I went to so many meetings, it's not even funny. And the group that I was with all the time helped me. But the thing is, you have to understand, especially with most addictions, but especially with alcoholism, is you're never not an alcoholic. Like me, I haven't had a drink in 725 days, but I'm still considered an alcoholic, and I will for the rest of my life. And it's something you have to accept mentally. It's something I've accepted mentally, saying, okay, that's a title that's stuck over my head for the rest of my existence, saying recovering alcoholic. But you have to not only accept it, but you have to own it, and you have to be proud of it, because the word recovering, that's a powerful word. It's saying progress. It's saying that you are willingly, continuously, 24 hours a day, keeping yourself in check, keeping yourself moving forward. And that's what I see myself doing every day. Is you go to any AA meeting, you're guaranteed to hear this at least once, and that's someone talking about the next 24 hours. And with Alcoholics Anonymous, or even just being a recovering alcoholic, that's the most important thing, is the next 24 hours. Getting through that day is the biggest victory of your life. As long as you can get from when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed without a single drop of alcohol, that's when you know you've won. And they think, well, that's just a day. And yeah, you look down that road and you see years ahead of you and you say, oh man, that's a long road. And your brain is sending these demons at you, wanting, like the little demon on your shoulder saying, yeah, one little drink isn't going to hurt anything. But it does. It hurts everything. Alcohol hurts your life, because when you're drunk, you don't notice it. You are too drunk and too blind to see the wreckage that it's creating around you. But you don't care, because all your mind cares about is that next drink. That's all it cares about. And I was destroying my life 1,000 times over because of that next can of beer, or that next shot of, spiced rum, or all that stuff. And I look back at it, and there's some times when I see things on TV, for instance, and you'd think that would trigger you, but once you get the routine down about how you want to live your life away from alcohol, it doesn't bother you as much anymore. Because then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember those days, because there's always going to be that part of your brain where it's going to be like, I miss it. I miss the feeling it gave me. I miss the escape it gave me. But then after a while, it's like, it's not worth it anymore, man. Because nowadays, in this world's economy, it's too expensive. When I started drinking alcohol, a 12 pack was like not even $30. Last time I went and bought a 12 pack of the same brand of beer that I started drinking with when I first started drinking, it's almost $42 here, Canadian. And I was just like proud of myself in the end because I'm like, I saved so much money. And of all the days and months of not buying alcohol, I saved thousands of dollars that would be applied into different things. And I'm not saying everyone who listens to it is going through that. You could be going through other drugs, but it could be applied something similar. But I can't say I know because the only other thing I've done besides drinking alcohol is smoke weed. Don't do that anymore either. I am legitimately straight edge right now, as close as I can be. But a struggle is still a struggle. And every struggle with any addiction always starts with self admittance or admittance to a friend or someone who's support group and say, I need help. So, anyone listening, I'm encouraging you to take that first step. Some people, and you see in the news with celebrities, they go to rehab and they don't want to do it anymore. They go for a couple weeks. I don't have a problem, blah, blah, blah. That's part of the first step. Sorry, I forgot to include it earlier in the podcast. It's not just I need help. You have to acknowledge you have a problem. You have to acknowledge that there is a problem instead of blindly pushing it to the side saying, no, I can control it. I don't have a problem. The moment you catch yourself saying those things, the moment you lost control. And I always caught myself saying those things. It's like, no, it's not a problem. I can stop anytime. Those are words that tell everyone around you that no, you lost control a long time ago. And some people do interventions, but I say for anyone listening, if you have any kind of struggle, it could be addiction or it could also be financial too. You need to say, I need help. Because the way the economy is now compared to how it was, say, in the 90s, it's not just, if they say it's sink or swim. If you find yourself sinking, unless you ask for help, you are going to plummet. And I've done that many times too. And that's going to be a future episode of this podcast, talking about all these things. I've lived on my own. I've lived with friends. I've had really toxic relationships. We are going to cover everything. And if anyone out there who listens and has a suggestion for a topic as well, please send it to us. You can email us at project6, which is the number 6, typed by the word 6, project66 at gmail.com. And you can send suggestions. You can send letters. Like I said, I'm hoping down the road that people will listen enough where I'll be able to touch somebody in terms of everything I've said, and they'll go, oh, I can relate to that guy. I would, and then they'll want to reach out, and then I'll get to have a conversation because I want to talk to people. And I like stories. I like hearing how other people are living. I like seeing how other people are living. Like when you walk in a mall and you're like, I wonder what you see these two people, say they're a teenage son and his mom going shopping for, he's got to buy something for picture day for high school. And you're like, I want to know, I would like to know how they live. Like, was yesterday a good day? Is tomorrow going to be a good day? Stuff like that. So we are going to cover literally everything we possibly can. And I'm open to all suggestions. That's why it's called Life's Corner. It's not just about one thing. It's about everything in life. Before I go, I just want to say to anyone listening is that the point I always want to have with this podcast is you're literally not alone. I may be a voice coming through your earbuds or your car stereo, but I am on this planet just like you are at the same time you are, and I'm not sure if tomorrow's going to be a great day. I'm not sure if Saturday is going to be a great day, but we're doing this together. And like I said, send stuff. I will always talk to people who want to be heard. I will always listen to the stories those people want to speak to me, because we're on this rock together. We need to all care about each other, and that's what this podcast is about, is helping each other out in a sense. So I'm hoping my words kind of give you some kind of encouragement or motivation. And if there's anything on this subject that I covered today that you want to know more about, please send me some email. Speak up. I'm also on Twitter at Dave J Mills, Mills. You could always follow me on there. Send me something on there too. It doesn't matter, man. I'm trying to make myself as accessible as possible so that we can communicate, because yeah, doing a podcast is cool. I've always wanted to do a podcast. Talking to people, I love talking to people. I love trying to help out as much as I can using my life as an example. But at the same time, the fun part is the communication, interaction between me and you. That's what I long for. That's what I'm hoping for. So, if 100 people listen to this tomorrow, awesome, And if 50 people, that 100 people walk away from this podcast episode going, yeah, there's one thing he touched on that I can relate to. That makes me happy. I did my job. So yeah, this is the end of the first episode. Thank you for listening so much. I look forward to episode number 2. And I am going to plan my episodes better. I think episode 2, we are going to talk more about loneliness. A lot of people live on their own. A lot of people, some people thrive in that environment and some people fail. And we're going to talk about the people that struggle with loneliness and how you can change things for yourself. But yeah, everyone have a really safe evening or day or morning whenever you're listening to this. And we will speak again. Bye-bye for now.